This video will be a guide to Feint Attack Zorak, one of the more difficult moves in the game that requires some comboing, but once you actually understand how the comboing works, it's actually quite straightforward. It's a very squishy speedster that does a lot of damage and has a lot of mobility, usually played in jungle or lane. Currently I played in lane the most because I also play stacking items, which I'll go over in a second. And also in the jungle position, the problem is that his late game is quite weak, but he has one of the best early and mid games out of any Pokemon. He can try to snowball games, but if you don't have like a main carry into your central area, at some point late game, it might be very hard to close out games. That's why I currently prefer playing this Pokemon towards either top or bot path. The head items might look a bit weird, but the attack rate is always a given, and then the second one or the third one can be complete different items. Currently trying the cookie as well, because the cookie just allows you to get your entire combo out before you go down. Razor Claw is a bit weird in this bit, because you actually don't basic attack a lot, but it's going to help your early game out quite a lot. If you don't like those items, you can also play Weakness Policy over Razor Claw, Weakness Policy over Cookie, or add in a Focus Band, or maybe even Energy Amplifier for increased Unite move damage. Better item, always full heal. We need full heal to make sure we keep our combos out. And then for emblems, we just go a basic, 6 brown for white page. Don't need any crit, since again, we're not going to be auto-taking much anyways, and Feint Attack can't crit, so just something like this. Make sure you have 6 brown for white, and then just have either HP ones or flat attack emblems. We start the game with a pre-evolution, and we get Slash and Furry Swipes as our basic moves. They're very straightforward. One is a dash, and if you hit it, you can dash again. And the other one is also a dash. They just do a lot of damage, and this is where Razor Claw is also nice, because you can do like Furry Stripes, proc a Razor Claw, another Furry Stripes, pop a Razor Claw, and then you can slash again, and another Razor Claw just allows you for some good early game damage. The basic attacks do nothing special, the boost auto attack just does more damage, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Now for the passive Illusion, we turn into either a wild Pokemon or into an enemy Pokemon, or the substitute in the training mode. If you press the button, you turn into this, and as soon as you auto attack again, you're gonna get start revealed, or some of the enemies attack you, you also get revealed. But you chose to the enemy as either a wild Pokemon or their allies. They have to kind of figure out themselves first. But the main usage of this move is as well, you can dodge things with it. So as an example, it gets iframe. So if I use Illusion right here, I can dodge away from a stun. It's very good against something like a Mew boosted auto attack. It's great to dodge Electro Ball. It's great to dodge like Blastoise Unite move. You can use this always to dodge any of those moves quite easily. It's very nice for that. It's obviously will take you some time to get used to, but it's for sure also a very good team fighting passive. Alright, now to the main part, which is Feint Attack. Also fun fact, if you skill Feint Attack while using Furry Swipes once, it's still going to be up instantly. So as an example right now, if I use Furry Swipes and I skill Feint Attack, my Feint Attack will instantly be up, which is very good for like an early game fight. Let's say you want to go for the Altarias, and you still want to get the last hit. You can Furry Swipes in one, hope you get the last hit, and then instantly get Feint Attack and start chaining those. Yeah, we get Feint Attack at level 5, where we also evolve, and this move has a lot of things going on. So first we dash into a location, any direction you want, and if we hit an opponent, we leave this area behind. If you press it again, we go back to the area, and now from the other position we leave the area behind again. We can do it more times right here, and then after using it 4 times, we get a final attack, which can jump towards, and you can aim it wherever you want. So it's like similar to Blaze Kicks in the Ace. Depending on where your joystick is, I'm going to point it to upwards now. You're going to fly there. And this also does a lot of AoE damage as well, actually, if you are able to, you can fly through opponents like this. As an example, you do this. And if you hit, you can see from the right, I jump from the right to left. Everyone in this path will still take damage from this final attack, and it also does execute damage. Now, the best part about Feint Attack, it can be combined with your other moves, and that completely resets their moves as well. So if I use Slash right now, I use Slash, at my Feint Attack, you can see my Slash is up again. If I use my Slash now, it will still get that Feint Attack teleport thing in. So if I do this, I use Slash, and now the port is over there. I can do Feint Attack, Slash again, and then Feint Attack. And this is pretty much the basic combo that you will have to get used to. It's going to get better at level 7 for Shadow Claw. I'm not going to talk, but we don't play cut. But yeah, you do like Slash, you can do Feint Attack, Slash, and then it's just also much closer, right? Because if you only do Feint Attack, you can see the area is quite large and the enemies might be able to get out of it at some point. But if you combine it very fast like this, it's much faster, and our opponents have a harder time getting away from it. Then on level 7 you get Shadow Claw, and Shadow Claw is much better than Cut for the reason that it stuns, which allows you to chain your ability much better. So as soon as we get Shadow Claw, we can do something like this. We Shadow Claw, knock them up, so Feint Attack, Shadow Claw, knock them up, Feint Attack, Shadow Claw, knock them up, and then we have our final attack. And this is why we use Shadow Claw, because during this time, if you do it much faster, right, they just can't react to it. So very important to be using Shadow Claw, because Cut, they can just kind of walk out of it, right? So again, we Shadow Claw, stun them, we Feint Attack, Shadow Claw, stun them again. And if you do it very fast, you have to be careful not of misclicks. Currently the Charizard bot is hunting me, which is very nice. I don't know why they always come over here, so I'm going to the right side now before it does something. So yeah, Shadow Claw, Feint Attack, Shadow Claw, Feint Attack, Shadow Claw, Final Slash. If you're close to a target, you can do it in a different way as well. Let's say the enemy is right in front of you. Then you just do Feint Attack, Shadow Claw, Feint Attack, Shadow Claw, and your Final Slash is up as well again. So, are you at this distance? You use Shadow Claw first, because if you do this, right, you're not gonna knock. You see, you don't knock up your opponent, right? So if you're at this distance away from your opponent, you do Shadow Claw first, into Final Slash. You can also still put in some auto attacks against tankier targets. And then if you are this close to someone, you use Feint Attack first, go through them with a Shadow Claw, and then knock them up, you know, when you're behind them. And you can still always get in basic attacks as well if you want. Let's say you want to kill like a bigger opponent or something. You can totally still do that as well, and just get very close. If you're also close to a wall, maybe you can also just keep like Feint Attacking across the wall. As an example, you can of course do objectives faster. You don't need to use Shadow Claw. Let's say you do the Regieleki, right? You can just Feint Attack into the wall and then just do this. Right, that's also just much faster than using your Shadow Claw. That's also something you can totally do if you like cross against a wall. Just do this, and you can do it much faster as well. Otherwise, you can in early game still you can also just use Feint Attack as well. You don't always have to use Shadow Claw if you don't want to, but of course it's much better. But in certain scenarios, maybe just pressing Feint Attack can be much faster, especially when the opponents are just stunned, right, already by some of your allies. You can also use this to close or like to go a lot of distance, right? So let's say we're this far away from someone, we want to chase someone down here, we can do Shadow Claw first, into Feint Attack, another Shadow Claw, and suddenly we're very close to our opponent, and we can maybe be able to chase them down as well. You can see we can gain a lot of distance very fast with this, and go across, you know, multiple areas if there's white Pokemon. Of course, only for white Pokemon. That's why it's another Pokemon that can abuse white Pokemon. You know, we do like this, and suddenly we gained a lot of distance very fast. Also, another combo I wanted to showcase is that you can also still do Feint Attack into Shadow Claw as well, even though your Feint Attack doesn't hit. If you do it very fast like this, you can see your Feint Attack still appears. But you can obviously just do Shadow Claw to Feint Attack as well from far away. But in certain scenarios, maybe there's also something you can be using. So again, Feint Attack and instant Shadow Claw knocks them up, Feint Attack, Shadow Claw. And if you're very fast, of course, this looks very like cool. So gotta be careful that if you press it sometimes a bit too fast, which I do as well, Feint Attack can bug out and Shadow Claw as well, because you can also reactivate your Shadow Claw during Feint Attack. Let's say you travel a long distance like this, you can Feint Attack back and then Shadow Claw during the Feint Attack already as well again. But if you press buttons at like literally the same time and make a mistake, it can sometimes just not happen. I don't know if in the gameplay later that I will go over, I have an example for it. But yeah, on level 9 we also have the Unite move, which is very basic. It's just a big AoE damage you kind of use to give yourself a shield and do some damage. And if you dash into your opponents, you can do something like this as well, just dash, and then go into your final attack and do a lot of damage. For the plus ones, they're pretty basic. Feint Attack gives you lower cooldown, but Shadow Claw Plus is actually super nice because now it has a longer stun, which makes the chaining even easier. So now you can see they're much longer stunned, so we can chain our combo much faster, or like not much faster, just easier, right? Because they are they're going to be stunned. So, you know, you can pretty much chain stun someone in this entire combo and then get away with them not being able to do literally anything because they're knock up, and then your Final Slash comes through already. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the basics of this build. Again, melee, if you melee someone, do this first. If you're further away from someone, do Shadow Claw first. And that's all you have to do. Go into practice mode and practice this combo just a lot, so that hopefully during the game you're going to be able to just do it over and over again. And if you really practice a lot, the combo can be this fast. And then your opponents literally have no time to react to it. So just a lot of practice and you can see it becomes insanely fast. It took me some games as well. I've been playing this bit a lot now. It's just a lot of practice and you will be having at some point a lot of success playing this bit. And right here's a short showcase of how your Feint Attack can sometimes mess up. So right here I Feint Attack, and I kind of use, you can see at the bottom left now, on the bottom right, I use Feint Attack and Shadow Claw at the same time, which kind of cancels out my Feint Attack and I lose my reset. So this is why you have to be careful pressing your buttons at the same time, because then your Shadow Claw Feint Attack kind of cancel each other out, or the Shadow Claw cancels out the Feint Attack, and I don't get my reset anymore. Gotta be very careful. And then we can also use, you know, Feint Attack like this. We can try to just get away very fair, and then you can, this has unlimited range, by the way. This thing right here has unlimited range. So we can walk very far back. I'm going to use it now. Get a Shadow Claw reset, use my Shadow Claw. Got my Unite move up. I Feint Attack back into my opponents, and I use my Unite move right here. And we just play around our cooldowns as good as we can. And now I can still win against the Slowbro as well. I just wait for my Shadow Claw, we Shadow Claw him, stun him, feint attack, Shadow Claw, Shadow Claw, and then find a feint attack, and we still win this fight somehow. But yeah, this was the bug I wanted to showcase before we head into actual gameplay as well, to make sure it doesn't really happen to you guys. Gotta be very careful with this, because yeah, your feint attack your Shadow Claw can be activated during feint attack, and if you do that at the wrong time, your Shadow Claw will be, you know, not hitting your opponents. So let's just straight up jump into some gameplay to always, you know, explain a bit better. We start with Fury Stripes, of course, since it's more damage than the other move, Slash, since we have 2 activations of it. And we want to run over to the right side to stack. And it's always like, sometimes you can stack, sometimes you don't. Don't overforce it. If the enemies have like a Pikachu and, I don't know, Snorlax defending their goal, you will just not be able to stack, right? So we're going to head over to the right side right here, see what the enemies do. And there we can see they have a Charizard and that little tree over there, or the Charmander. And they're currently going for the right side. My right is obviously going to struggle with this, but still, overall it's going to be a win for us because I get much more free experience than our opponents do. And in the end, I get to level 5 very fast. Like, if you get to level 5 very fast with this Pokemon, it's absolutely massive. Looking for this last as well. Get another Fury Stripes out. Fury Stripes will be your last hitting or Slash, right? Obviously try to go for it. I'm going to full heal right now to just make sure I don't get slowed by anything. Go over to the left side, and I'll be very close to level 5 already. Take a berry, try to go for this, but a bit late for it, sadly. It's not, I mean, the early game phase is actually quite fun again. If you fight someone 1v1, you can abuse your Razor Claw, but we already have 3 attack rate stacks now, 3 cookie stacks. Make sure that our Sylveon is level 4 right here. And now I'm very close to level 5 already. Jungler coming towards Spot Path. Somehow they have a Flace Legs in jungle running us down right here, but I'm gonna do Fury Stripes into our basic attacks with the Razor Claw, and I'll slash through, and we get level 5. And now we want to be very aggressive. At this point in the game, you want to be very aggressive and just keep on going. Sadly missed my first feint attack right there, but Charmander was already down. I'm gonna stack out. But yeah, at this point in the game, we want to be very aggressive. So, and this is basic combo right here. And actually, my game bugged out right here. This is very funny. So usually I would have the KO right here. So just go over it very basically. I slash in to gain some distance. Then I feint attack. I use my slash to dodge over him. My point is here now. I feint attack back to it. I slash again. And now my character gets stuck. I've never seen this bug actually before. This was a funny time as well. And I get stuck literally on the spot. And this has never happened before. So this is not a common bug, luckily. This was the first time this happens. And yeah, now we want to go in again. In early game, you can see why Cut is also just not the greatest, because Cut is similar to Slash, right? It's pretty much the same move except for Cut here. You can see that our opponents can kind of just walk away from it sometimes, and it's much harder to, get it out. But Razor Claw again, we just do some basic attacking. Even just for white Pokemon clear, the Razor Claw can be quite nice. And then we can keep going right here. And you can see, I don't necessarily have to use my Slash in this moment as well. If you go to white Pokemon, you can just use feint attacks very fast. But the Slash just makes the, the teleport range a bit shorter. Going in right here as well again, looking for this guy. And we just do basic combo, feint attack, slash, final feint attack. And the Charmander or Charmeleon has no chance already right now. Almost level 7 now. And then I can be even more aggressive, because the Shadow Claw just makes really sure that I get those feint attacks chained without any issues. So we go in right here. Feint attack, Shadow Claw, final slash, and he's down. It's so simple, right? It's some people might think it's difficult to play, but no, it's actually straightforward. It's just, it has a room for misplay as well. But we Shadow Claw in, feint attack over him, Shadow Claw, feint attack, Shadow Claw, final slash, bam, and he is gone. Don't want to break the goal right here because it's a bit too early as always. I don't like breaking goals too early. Another Shadow Claw right here, feint attack, Shadow Claw, and this time as well, you can always wait a bit as well. You don't have to be too fast at using it, because sometimes you just want to wait for your opponents to see what they do, right? So in this moment right here, I Shadow Claw in, right? I feint attack, and I know that if I feint attack back right here into this position on the left side, he's going to be out of range. So at this point, I want to wait a bit, and then I'm going to Shadow Claw towards the right side to keep following him as well. And I get my final attack out, and it's very straightforward. So yeah. Because like right here, you can show, so if I port back, or if I use my Shadow Claw here, right, my port is going to be here, and then he might already be at this point. So that's why I just wait a bit, and I Shadow Claw through him, and I stick my final activation out. This is also very important for this Pokemon to understand like where your opponents are moving. You don't have to chain it always too fast. You can also just wait a bit to see if they maybe use an eject button or something, because if eject button dodges your feint attack is just gone instantly, right? So you gotta be very careful. And again, depending on where your controller cursor is on the final attack, you can also dash around. Again, it's very similar to, it's pretty much the same as Blaze Kick or Greninja Unite. You can always control where you want to be with that Unite move, with the final attack or feint attack. So you can always control that if you want to jump to the right, to the left, up, but just make sure you use your left joystick for that. Now we're also level 9 already. And you can see we can snowball lanes as soon as we get to level 5 in Sandy Heart, and then level 6, or level 7, I mean, we can start you know, getting very aggressive. And here, as the example showed earlier, I can just feint attack into the wall very fast and do the objectives also at a very reasonable speed. Now we can maybe break the goal. I'm gonna go in as well again and try to go for this KO, but I do get wood hammered out of it. We get 40 points in, and now I'm still want to be aggressive down here. Zoroark is not very the best at team fighting, but he's very good at picking off targets and just being split pushing as well, and just going for, you know, speedsters are not always the best team fight Pokemon, right? So, yeah, I'm just fully stacking right here. I didn't get the slash right there. Somehow the white Pokemon lived, but I get my last stack right here, fully cookie and fully attack rate stacks. And yeah, again, the cookie is just there to get your entire combo out in a team fight pretty much. Here I'm getting wood hammer over these course. Hey, being stunned is very annoying for this Pokemon, but that's what we have our full heal for. And now we can just look around. I kind of want to maybe Unite Move somewhere. But the Unite Move is not the strongest part of this Pokemon. I'm just see if the enemies maybe look for a push down here, waiting for the Atarias at 550 to spawn. If we all go top lane right now, our bot lane is quite exposed, so we don't really want to do it. But now I see enemies all top lane, so I'm going to head towards top path as well. I'm going to first do these Atarias though, cause it's free experience, and then we can look for a flank down here. I use my illusion to often walk into team fights, because again, you don't show on the minimap. And second of all, if you somehow turn into an enemy Pokemon, it might be hard for them to understand that's actually you, right? So we turn right now into a Baltoy, and then we just go in right here. I'm using my Unite move as well. And this was very good engage. So again, Baltoy in. And since I'm far away from my opponents, I use Shadow Claw first. Here I use Shadow Claw towards this bunny actually, so I can feint attack in. Shadow Claw, feint attack. I use another feint attack right here, and I press my Unite move because I know they're going to go for me instantly. This time I'm just getting unstoppable, using my Unite move very fast, and I do a lot of damage right here. I Shadow Claw towards this. Now I have my final attack ready, and I can also go for this Clefable. Regieleki up, looking for the same, to do the same maybe on this guy, using full heal right here. Feint attack, Shadow Claw, but this time it missed. So this can also miss quite easily, as you can see right here. So always have to make sure that it actually hits, because it can be very close. I mean, it's not the biggest skill shot either. So right here, this feint attack misses, which means I do not get my, you know, my final slash out or my next one or my Shadow Claw reset. He does Unite move, and I can just keep going for the Regieleki now, because this guy is just a bit too fast and now it's a bit too much HP now. So we just head over to the Regieleki, try to get it done before opponents maybe steal it away. And it's going to combo it very fast. Try to go for the Trevenant, but he did have Hyperspace Portal under him. And he gets to safety. Still very low right now. You have to be very careful. Again, we are very squishy Speedster. Our HP pool is very low. Our defense sets are also very low, so we do die very fast if you're not patient or if you're not careful enough. And now we try to maybe go for a score right here. The Regieleki is in. I'm going to go in with the feint attack, score my 40 points. Could have also let the Sylveon score, but I wasn't sure how many points he actually had until I feint attacked in. Here we do another Shadow Claw, feint attack, Shadow Claw, feint attack. But yeah, as you can see, if the enemies have some sort of mobility as well, and you don't get every stun out, it can be quite difficult. Here, do some fun feint attack things. The distance is unlimited as long as the feint attack is still up right now. You can feint attack from right to left to right to left, and keep walking as well and create big distances between you and your opponents. And right there, I just kind of had fun with them as well. But, you know, it's a very valuable way to escape as well. I tried to Shadow Claw Hooper out of the Hyperspace Portal right here, which I didn't do. But you can with the Shadow Claw knock up, which I will do in a second. This time I will succeed. You see, I wait for the Hyperspace Portal to port him back, and then I use my knock up to get him out of the portal. Now he does Unite move, and I'm just going to up move myself as well to make sure the Hooper dies before I go down to the allies coming top path as well. Very low on HP, we're level 30 now. Shadow Claw Plus is very strong, as I mentioned earlier. Gives me double the duration of my stuns and makes team fighting even easier. Looking top now. And this game also was a bit difficult because the enemies were actually quite tanky, right? They didn't really have a lot of squishies, and you can see that my Pokemon can still do a lot even against these tankier Pokemon. Going in again. Right now they got stunned out a tiny bit, but we still get easy KOs. Looking for the Shadow Claw now. I missed the first one, but, you know, again, feint attack resets as well, so even if you miss your Shadow Claw, you can just feint attack over your opponents. Right here, Shadow Claw. But I do miss it, and I just feint attack, I Shadow Claw. Instead of going back to this side, I just Shadow Claw behind him, right? I'm not going to stun him right here, but since he has no mobility, he goes down anyways, because I can just always aim my Shadow Claw, and my second feint attack should hit, unless he has some sort of dashes. Then close to 40 now. And levels, of course, they matter a lot, because you need to one-shot your opponents, right? So the higher level you are, the more damage you do. Very straightforward. We're going to try to Shadow Claw here as well, but I get stunned. I'm just going to do it on the Ataria, and I use my final dash to just run away. You know, you can. The final slash has a very high travel distance. Here I mess up my Shadow Claw feint attack. I try to dodge the yawn with my illusion. Was a bit badly timed. And now we go for the Snorlax. Sadly, he lives, because again, tankier Pokemon don't necessarily instantly go down from it, but we still get easily away from the scenario. We can do Feint Attack, Shadow Claw. We have a lot of mobility to get away, and now my opponents are pushing right here. I'm trying to just buy time. I full heal away from the Charizard. I use my entire combo, and I just try to buy time for my team to be here. And we actually make it. Gravity, of course, is also very annoying, but if you play against Gravity, you can always full heal it. So in case in team fights later on, you can just go for a full heal in Gravity and still do something. But they're very mad there. Now we have another Registeel spawning. I'm just going to do into the wall right here a few Feint Attacks and still put in some auto attacks as well. So if you do Registeel or Regieleki or something, you can still get that Razor Claw damage in and just do it. Especially when you farm white Pokemon as well, you can always just auto take in between certain things to just make sure you get those white Pokemon a bit faster with that Razor Claw as well. Taking a red buff right here. Now we head into the final last 2 minutes, which can be the most difficult ones. Here's where you can actually turn into Rayquaza, which I don't like. I feel like this is very easy for your opponents to see you flanking or something. So as soon as I turn into Rayquaza, I kind of just cancel it very fast to make sure that, it's just weird. I don't even understand where I'm myself, right? Like, it's such a big hitbox, or it looks like such a big hitbox. So we just look for a flank. You always want to flank with this Pokemon in late game. Very important. If you play from front to front, if you're with the team into the enemy front, it is very, very difficult to play. You always want to flank and look for one of the enemy attackers to maybe go down. Chasing down the Trevenant now, and again, we're being very patient right here with our Feint Attacks. We don't try to chain it too fast. 3 already down of the enemy team, but the game is still not even close of being over. I wait for my Feint Attack to be up. I Feint Attack across him, right? Feint Attack over him. And then I know he's going to keep going this way, so I Shadow Claw this way as well. I can't stun him right now since I'm literally on top of him, so I'm just going to try to predict where he's going to walk. And then I Feint Attack back, I Shadow Claw back towards him, and then the final slash is there. And we can also take down the Trevenant. We don't really have a lot of Rayquaza damage right here, but I'm still going to obviously go for it. The Charizard is still at full HP right now with his Unite move up, using my... I just built up a Feint Attack there. I did get stunned though. You can always just build up your final slash as well and have Reddit for something else. So right here, I built up my final attack. And I wanted to Shadow Claw across this one and just Feint Attack him. It also has a lot of range, actually, the Feint Attack. It also follows eject buttons and something. So if someone tries to eject button away from your final Feint Attack, you are going to follow them. Again, we turn into Rayquaza, which I absolutely hate. So I'm going to recall right here. Rayquaza said at half HP, but I need to reset. If anything hits me right now, I'm kind of dead. And I don't want to throw this game away since we're doing quite well still. Got my Unite move still. So, but the enemies are going for Rayquaza now. I'm using for Shadow Claw and Razor Claw's activation. And here I should have just full healed much, much earlier. The enemies do get Rayquaza in the end, which is very bad. But this was also a bit of misplay by me, I have to say. So I Shadow Claw, Feint Attack in, right? And here I get stunned by Ray. Or I think it was actually Yawn. I should instantly full heal and press my Unite move, right? Instantly, or just anything. This is also full heal, of course, takes a bit of practice. And sometimes I still mess it up myself to actually activate full heal in the right scenarios. The enemies now have Ray, but we can still win. Gonna run towards the right side. We had a huge point lead. I'm just gonna try and score right here. Going towards the enemy base with my movement abilities and try to score. And Trevenant doesn't get us in time, because Pain Split actually doesn't do damage. He Pain Splits me, but Pain Split doesn't do damage if I have lower HP than he has, right? So it actually didn't stop my scoring. Now we have to recall, and our opponents are still trying to do something, and we are going to try and defend as good as we can. Hooper's there, he's going to score. I'm going to Feint Attack through him. Shadow Claw, Feint Attack, Shadow Claw, Final Slash. Do a bit of damage, but you can see Hooper's very tanky in this stage of the game. And it gets difficult for Zoroark the later the game goes, as I mentioned earlier. Still get stunned by some Gravity stuff there. I'm just going to try to defend, waiting for my Feint Attack to be back up. Shadow Claw just basic attacking. Feint Attack, Shadow Claw, Feint Attack, Shadow Claw. And we're stuck in Gravity again. This time I full heal it, and we can get our Final Slash out. And we are able to win this game. Very barely. And yeah, this was it for the guide. I hope you guys enjoyed it. There's a lot more things you can also do with this Pokemon. Again, as I mentioned, the Final Slash attack can hit from a long distance as well. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and don't forget to like and subscribe.